Today, we're actually gonna be making Windows 11 better with AI. I'm gonna put two AI models against each other, ChatGPT 5.5 Pro and Claude Opus 4.7, which are the newest AI models available right now, and I'm gonna tell both of them to make Windows 11 better, which means they will actually create their own versions of Windows 11, and this time it will actually be a .iso file that runs in a virtual machine. And then we're gonna put the two versions against each other to see which one's better. Once again, we are on Abacus AI, and if you want access to all of these LLMs, including the brand new GPT 5.5 Pro as well as Opus 4.7, definitely check them out in the description. So, let me just make a prompt real quick for ChatGPT. So this is the prompt that I'm gonna use, and once again, we're just gonna let ChatGPT plan everything out for Abacus Agent, and then we're gonna paste that prompt into Abacus Agent and let it make a version of Windows 11. Because Abacus Agent just has way more features than any of these LLMs, so we're gonna use that today. So let's see what ChatGPT gives us. So right over here is our prompt that it built for Abacus Agent. Of course, it said right here, building a real ISO is possible, but making a fully polished OS takes iteration, which is perfectly normal. So I'll just go with the bare bones OS for now, and then maybe we can polish it in the next video, if you guys like this one. So let's start a new chat with Abacus AI Agent and paste the copied prompt in here. And yeah, I'll just paste this into Abacus Agent and let's see what it gives us. And it automatically said I'll create the complete AstroOS live build project for you. So I'll just give it time and let's see what happens. So I'll just paste what Abacus gave us and get that back to ChatGPT. And here is the text that it gave us. So I'll just paste this back into Agent and let's see what it can build. I don't think it'll actually be a 2 to 3 gigabyte ISO. I'm not expecting that, of course. But let's see if Abacus AI Agent can actually build an operating system that runs from a real ISO. And that is better than Windows 11, of course. And of course, it told us that it will simplify the project a little bit, which is absolutely fine as soon as we still get the full ISO. Okay, so it says that it's finished the project, but unfortunately it failed to build the actual ISO. So I'll just try to work on that right now and let's hope that we'll be able to fix that. But yeah, I'll be back when it's hopefully fixed. Okay, and it just finished, and apparently it did create a live CD or a bootable ISO, so it gave us the type and everything. So let's see if this will actually work. Apparently it did base this OS off Debian 12, which is fine. So let's try to download the ISO, which is right here, and let's see if this will actually work. I'll create a VirtualBox new machine with these specs. So we have Linux, Debian, and I'll give it 2 gigabytes of RAM, and let's see if this actually works. Okay, so here we are in VirtualBox, and this is my ISO right here. So I already set everything up. I gave it 2 gigs of RAM, and I put the ISO into the DVD drive. So let's just see what happens when we turn this on. Okay, I'll just select the live verbose version, and okay, it brings us right here. So we got Linux, AstroOS, Debian. The programs included with Debian are free software. So I think this is the entire OS because we can type stuff in, however, there is no graphical interface, which is fine, I guess. I'll just go back to Abacus Agent and I'll tell it to add a graphical interface. But this is actually quite big progress because we did actually get a bootable ISO that actually boots in a virtual machine. So let's just tweak it a little bit with AI. So I just put this prompt into the same conversation where we just got the ISO from. So let's see if Abacus AI Agent can do something about this. Okay, and it switched to Croatian Croatian for some reason. So I'll just tell it to continue with that. And let's hope that we actually get a live CD with a graphical interface. Okay, so it is supposedly done, and the ISO is 649 megabytes right now, so it definitely did do something. It says that it added all of these things, which would be pretty cool if that's true. So here's the Astra OS Desktop AMD 64 ISO, so let's download this and see how this one looks. So here is our Astra OS desktop version. So let's just switch the one that is in here. So let's go for choose a disk file and select the desktop version and click OK. And let's try booting this version of the OS. We'll select desktop live verbose. Okay, and we do have a cursor, and there it is. Here is Astra OS, and it is an actual OS that we built just by using AI. So the things that weren't possible a couple of months ago are now very possible, which is definitely very cool. So here we have it in full screen running in VirtualBox. We have home, file system, and trash, and we also have our start button right here. So we can't click on any of the icons, unfortunately. It does have the correct date, but it doesn't have the correct time, which is absolutely fine. Yeah, so unfortunately, none of the things are clickable. I did just try to reset the entire OS, but unfortunately, nothing works. It did clone the Windows 11 interface pretty well, which I'm actually quite happy about. Yeah, so it recreated the visuals really well. I'll go back to Abacus AI Agent and I'll use one more prompt to hopefully give some of this some functionality at least. But if that doesn't happen, this is also pretty impressive. We did get something that boots inside of a virtual machine, which is already pretty impressive, but let's try to add some functionality to this. So this is the last prompt that I'm gonna use. So let's just send this in and see if it can do any of it. Okay, and after a while, the OS build has been fully completed, and now the size of the OS is actually 2 gigabytes, which is really, really impressive. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get the version 0.2 ISO. So I'll get this one, and we'll load that into the virtual machine next, and we'll see if anything has changed. And here we have the version 0.2 ISO. So let's just switch that in the virtual machine, and I'll select version 2 right over here and click OK. And let's see if anything has changed. Okay, and now it just seems to show the Debian 12 logo, which is definitely not ideal. Let's try to restart and see if anything else happens. So yeah, this is the Astra OS Desktop Live, and yeah, the only thing that seems to happen is actually this. So it pretty much failed miserably in fixing it, but that's fine. I'll just grade version 0.1 then, which did actually boot into the OS, however, nothing was actually clickable. I'll just go ahead and paste the same prompt into Claude Opus 4.7, and we'll see if it builds a better prompt than ChatGPT, and then we'll see if Deep Agent can make a better OS just by using the Claude prompt. So here we have the prompt that we used for ChatGPT, so I'll just copy exactly the same prompt, and I'll start a new chat with Claude Opus 4.7. So I'll just paste this in, and let's see what Claude gives us. Okay, so here is the master prompt for Abacus AI Agent, which Claude Opus just built. So I'll just copy this and start a new agent session. So I'll just put the copied prompt into agent, send it in, and this time it's called Nova OS. So let's see if it can turn out better than Astra OS that ChatGPT ChatGPT built. And of course, as always, we'll need some critical clarifications. So I'll just go ahead and copy all of this and paste it back into Claude Opus. So I'll just copy this and we can paste this in and hopefully it will start the build. Good, and now it says proceeding with the build, so I'll start the time lapse again. And after well more than an hour, it has finally finished building the Nova OS ISO file. And this one definitely took a long time, but it just asked me if I wanted to continue a couple of times, and I told it to do so. And it built a fully UI integrated ISO that is 3.5 gigabytes the first try. So just from this, it looks like Claude Opus did much better with building that prompt than ChatGPT. But let's get the ISO and see if that is actually true. So here we have the Nova OS 1.0 ISO. So I'll just download that. And it is actually 3.1 gigabytes, which is really impressive. So I'll just wait for this to download and we'll test it in a virtual machine. And also, this one is also based on Debian 12, which is pretty funny because AI is basically telling us that a better version of Windows 11 is always Linux. Yeah, I guess Debian is just the easiest to build upon. So yeah, I'll wait for this download to finish and we'll see how this looks. And here we are with the Nova OS ISO. So I'll just use the same virtual machine, except I'll rename it to Nova OS, like that. And I'll just put the ISO inside of the drive right over here. And let's see what Claude Opus has managed to build. Actually, it's Abacus AI agent, but it used Claude Opus for the prompt. And we have a Debian 12 boot screen once again. And this one apparently comes with an installer, which is incredible. We might check that out later, but let's just boot into the live desktop for now. Okay, and it looks like this one is actually loading in Debian 12 because we do get this little animation right here. Okay, we got a few failed things. I'm not sure. Okay, we do have cursor. So are we still gonna boot? Something's happening. Wait, I'll go back to full screen. Something definitely is happening. Welcome to Nova OS 1.0 Genesis. Wow. And the clicks actually work and everything works as intended. We have got something called Dolphin File Manager, which actually gives us the desktop, documents, downloads, music, pictures, videos, trash. Wow, this is really interesting. Now, I'm not sure if it just reskinned Debian Linux and made all of the graphical interfaces because it says install Debian right here. But yeah, if it did just do that, that basically means that we would be able to install this. It says, welcome to the Calamares installer for Nova OS 1.0. Wow, that is really interesting. I'm not gonna go over the installation process for now. We have Firefox right here. Let's see if it's an actual version of Firefox. Okay, nothing happened when we tried opening that. Yeah, I believe Firefox just goes ahead and crashes. Oh wait, there it is. There it is. It just took a little time. And it actually is a fully working version of Firefox. That is actually incredible that it managed to integrate that into this OS. I'll just go Google what Debian 12 looks like because I'm not even sure what it looks like to begin with because it may have just reskinned that. Yeah, so there seem to be a lot of variants of Debian. So basically Debian is just the base that you build your OS on, but But yeah, so it basically just took Debian and built its own skin that is supposed to resemble Windows 11. It really doesn't, if you ask me. It's not even very similar to Windows 11, but I think it is pretty impressive that we even got a software that works of any kind from AI. But yeah, I guess this is basically the trade-offer. If we want something that actually looks like Windows 11, we need to make it in HTML, and then all of you guys will comment that it is not a real OS, which I never mentioned that it was, but okay. And if we want to make a real OS, it builds it upon an already existing OS like Debian, so it doesn't really look the same as Windows 11 or even similar, but it has much more functionality, and you can actually boot and install this type of OS. Also, let me know if you want to see a video of me installing this on an actual machine. I think it would be pretty cool to install an OS that AI made on actual hardware. But yeah, the win for this video definitely goes to Claude Opus. It smashed ChatGPT out of the park. Deep Agent did really good with building both OSs, but I think Claude just had much clearer and better instructions. So yeah, that'll be pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching it. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Let me know in the comments which videos you want to see next. Check out Abacus AI in the description, and also check out my Twitter and Instagram. And I will see you guys in the next video.